So today I'm going to mill this log, which you can see in front of you, into timber weatherboards for the old cabin that I have. I'm going to mill it into a thickness of 3/4 of an inch, and I'm going to be using my chainsaw mill, often called an Alaskan mill in some parts of the world. The great thing about the chainsaw mill is that you can actually bring the mill to the log, so you don't actually need equipment, which is a good thing. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this video. I'm going to show you all the steps that I take to do this process. Now I've got my log and I've put my extension ladder on the log. Obviously, as you can see, I've already pre-drilled 3 holes into 3 of the rungs of the ladder. Now I wouldn't recommend you do this with your ladder, but I'm just using this ladder only for milling, so that's why I've done that. But what I'm going to do now, as I've got the 3 holes pre-drilled in the rungs, I'm now going to drill through those holes into the log with my drill, so I can put my bolts in. Basically the ladder will give you a straight line for your cut, for your first cut, and the first cut is the most important cut. It's probably the most difficult cut, and that first cut will give you the straight line for the rest of your cuts. You'll see it'll become more evident as I go through the process. So just going to carry on now, drill my holes and put my bolts in. I'll just change over to my bit. I'm using a hexagonal bit for the bolts. I'm actually using roofing screws. I just find those to be the best for this purpose because you can keep reusing them. The threads don't get stripped out or anything. It's just really good. So I'll just put those in. First one. Number 2. And number 3. As you can see, that's pretty firm now. Provides a solid base for our first cut. Okay, so I've got my ladder set up now. I've got 1 bolt at the end, another bolt in the middle, and a 3rd bolt. So 3 altogether. I find this works for me. You could do more bolts if you wanted to, but I find that, so what happens is you chainsaw up to the first bolt. Just before you get to the first bolt, take it out, chainsaw past it, replace the bolt, keep going, get to the middle bolt. Before you get to the bolt, obviously take the bolt out, chainsaw past it, put the bolt back, and then keep going. Stop chainsawing before the 3rd bolt, take it out, and then chainsaw the rest. So this is basically the setup that I have for the first cut, and I'll just show you here my chainsaw. I've got the milling bar set up. I've got it currently set to a height of 5.75 inches. I found that this is the best setup for me for the first cut with the ladder that I have. It might depend on your ladder or how you're doing it, but this works for me. There's a lot of trial and error I find with this. And over here I've got basically my drill ready and my safety beacon because I'm out in the bush and there's potentially snakes around, and I'm just going to keep this by my side as I work up the log so that I can reach it easily with the saw and take those bolts out and replace them as I go. So yeah, let's get this chainsaw started and we'll start milling. I've got my nice log cut here with my top cut done nice and straight. Pretty happy with that. So I've just fueled up my chainsaw, put some fresh oil. I like to always refuel between every cut because you just don't want to cut out mid-cut. It's just not good for your saw and it's a hassle. And I've also just adjusted my height on the gauge here down to 3/4 of an inch because as I said, I'm cutting cladding boards today, 3/4 inch. They're just going to be rough. I'm just going to leave it with the rough bark pattern on each side. That's the great thing about having a cabin, that I don't need them to be cut perfectly straight or anything like that. I'm just happy the way they are. So yeah, that's it. Let's get ahead and I'll cut some more cladding boards off. Okay, so there's my board cut off, pretty good. I actually really like the rough edge because that's the look of the cabin, so it fits in perfectly. A lot of mills don't really want to cut cladding like this, so I have to do it myself, but it's fun anyway. You notice on the surface it's relatively smooth, but it's kind of rough cut. I'm using a type of chain which is called a ripping chain. Not sure if you can see here, but it's on a 10-degree angle compared to the normal angle. So it's specifically designed for cutting with the grain instead of against the grain, as most chainsaw chains are designed to cut against the grain. So the ripping chain cuts with the chain. It just makes it a lot easier and should give you a smoother cut than with the standard chainsaw chain. I hope you enjoyed watching this video on how I chainsaw mill. I'll be making some more videos soon showing how I use these boards on the cabin, so please subscribe and you'll be sure to see the next videos. And if you'd like to give this video a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks and bye.